Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the Course Creator Community Podcast. I'm your host, Jono, and I'm super excited because we have a very special guest on the line this week, all the way from Los Angeles in America. I'm always excited. Yeah, I'm always representing there. If you're listening to the podcast, she's even got a LA t-shirt on there, and I'm always impressed when someone from Los Angeles is on this podcast because I'm like, man, you could go to Hollywood, you could go to Beverly Hills, you could go to the house of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You know, there's so many things you can do. You can go to Muscle Beach and, you know, look at the bodybuilders, but she's chosen to be here with us. So I'm very impressed with that. A little bit about this person. She's done it all to simplify. She's a copywriter. She's a launch strategist. She does a whole heap of different things, but in a nutshell, she can help people sell more of their thing, which in this case, she can help you sell more of your online courses. She's very, very successful at what she does. She's also a mum, so she's very good with her time as well. So one of her biggest things is, hey, how can you work less and scale more? And when she's not working or mumming, you can find her hiking on a waterfall somewhere in LA or kicking back listening to Elton John. So without further ado, let me introduce the one and only Ms. Sage Polaris. Sage, how are you?
I'm so excited to be here, Jono, and thank you for inviting me into your community. It feels really special.
Yes, no, I only invite the best of the best, actually. So, you know, you just scraped in, you know, but no, I'm joking. I'm super excited you're here. If you're just listening on the podcast, you may have missed the intro I did in the Facebook group. I've been hounding Sage since June to be on this podcast. If you go through my DMs, it's just, you know, hey, Sage, you want to come on this week? You want to come on this week? You want to come on this week? But I've finally got her, so we're excited. Sage, I like to start all my podcasts off with a quote or mantra that inspires you or fires you up. Have you got one?
Yes, and it's an original. Go figure, as a copywriter, I have an original quote. When I first started in my business, I launched courses early on. I definitely had some wins and some flops, but what I learned along the way, I always told myself, let no come from other places, not yourself. And that really drove me forward in the sense that, like, I might be questioning myself. Am I using the right strategy? Am I doing the right thing? Who am I to pitch to speak in front of 150 of my peers? Whatever it might be, it was always like, do it anyways. Let no come from other places if it has to, but don't let me be the one who stops me. So that's been a really powerful lesson.
Yes, love that. I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan myself, and he's got something similar to that. I can't remember exactly how he puts it, but the philosophy is similar, where it's like, because he does a lot of interventions in his things, you know, and it's like, hey, what's your outcome, or, you know, whatever it is he says. And, you know, someone will say, well, hey, you know, I can't do that, you know, or people won't do that. And he's like, hold on, you know, have you spoken to these people and they've told you they won't do it? Or are you just making a judgment based on absolutely nothing? And I've gone into, I use a similar philosophy in my life, and it's very powerful. So thank you for bringing that up. Now, Sage, it was interesting me coming up with a topic for this. I'm like, well, you know, you do so many things, you know, what are you going to do? And you actually suggested, well, hey, you know, I'm really, really good at helping people launch if they've got an email list smaller than 1,000 people. Now, I'm pretty sure most people watching this, listening to this is that sort of boat there. So I'm just going to hand it over to you. You can start where you want to start. You can tell us what you want to tell us. What can you tell us about that? Someone's like, yep, that's me. I got less than 1,000 emails. Where do they start? What do they do? I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Jono. I'm so glad we get to start here, because I know that there's often, for people who have a list under 1,000, they're like, they kind of have list shame. They're like, oh, this is hard for me. Like, I don't have the advantage of somebody who has a 20,000 list audience. And I'm like, actually, there's a lot of advantages you have that somebody with a list of 20,000 can't do. So some of the things that somebody who has a larger list can't do is to scale more personal interactions. So one of my favorite tools to do that, and something that I teach people when they are getting ready to launch, let's just say, like, a really good example is you have a wait list. Like, you've been seeding the fact that you're going to come out with a course, and you're kind of testing your list of less than 1,000 to see, like, is there interest for this thing that I want to put out? So you send them an email. The absolute best thing you can do at this level is tell them to hit reply to your email, and you won't be overwhelmed. You'll see how many people hit reply to your email to this thing that you're creating a wait list for. And then you can just put them manually on the wait list. Like, you don't have to make this fancy funnel in the beginning, which costs money or time. And neither of those are, in that sense, like, when you're in the beginning of your business, like, you need to implement fast, in my opinion, and sometimes implement the wrong thing, which is totally like another conversation. But when you're looking to implement fast, like, don't put a funnel in between you and your audience. That's a mistake, in my opinion. So if you can do a hit reply email, like, I have this idea to launch a course about training your dogs, and this is what the course is going to be. So really brief, don't write them a book and say, and this is the only call to action for the email. You're going to say, hit reply to this email if this is something you seem interested in, and I will put you on the wait list for this. So that way you are giving them a simple action they can take, because they may not have a lot of, if you haven't done a lot of things to build brand loyalty with people, asking them to do more than hit reply is kind of like not the best way to start out. And, you know, prove me wrong. Like, if you've built a lot of brand loyalty and you think you can get them to jump through all kinds of funnel hoops, then do it. But I'm like, anything I say, of course there's exceptions, but I've just found, like, in the beginning, you have that advantage of hit reply. Now let's talk about what happens with those waitlist people before the launch. My thing about launching that I've learned that gives me confidence when I finally show up for that free event that I've planned and put so much time into, like a webinar or a challenge or whatever it may be, I do not wait to sell my course until the course day of launch. So I may be opening cart to the public on, let's just say, September 25th, but I've been building a list since September 2nd of a wait list of hit reply people. So what I'm going to do leading up to September 25th is I'm actually going to be talking to those people who signed up at the beginning of the month. And I'm going to be saying to them, I'm actually a tool that I love. This is like, I love this tool so much. It's called BombBomb. Have you played with it, Jono?
Never heard of it. What was it? BombBomb. So like my name, John, but with a B? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so it's BOMB twice.
Oh, BombBomb.
Yeah, so BombBomb is amazing because let's say Jono's on my wait list and I haven't released the product yet. I like to pre-sell my waitlist people so that when I show up for my webinar or my free whatever challenge or whatever it might be, I've already pre-sold seats. So I'm going to send Jono a BombBomb. And when I do that, I am going to make him a personalized video. Now, there's a lot of personalized video platforms out there. Loom is another one that I used to use and I don't anymore. So pick your poison. I don't care which platform you use. I happen to love BombBomb because when you go into Gmail and you have all those hit reply people, it is integrated inside of Gmail. So you do not leave your inbox to create personalized videos for these people.
Wow.
It's so quick and easy and powerful. And I've made over 200 videos since the beginning of last year for people who I'm either like pre-selling into a course or there's, you know, potentially leading them to my mastermind offer, whatever it is. So I send them a BombBomb video and I walk them through the offer because I already know they're interested. And I'm like, hey, I have this thing coming up. Me personally, I like creating bonuses that don't require me to do a lot of work, especially in the beginning of a course launch.
Yes.
Because you can totally like dig your own grave and like, oh, I'm going to give you all these fabulous bonuses. So my favorite bonus is you can have Voxer, Jono.
Sorry, it just cut out then, but did you say Voxer? Sorry, Sage, it's just breaking up a little bit. I think you said, can you hear me there? Hey, Sage, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Awesome, cool. So I just cut out for a second. I think the last
Yeah, I
thing you
can hear
said,
you great.
oh, awesome, cool. It just cut out for a second. The last thing you mentioned was, hey, my favorite bonus is, and then it cut out. I think you said Voxer.
Yeah, I love the suspense. My favorite bonus is opt in to get the answer.
Oh. Love it.
My favorite bonus is Voxer. Yeah. Have you heard of Voxer, Jono?
I have, but I don't think a lot of my listeners have. So if you want to expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's a voice memo application. It works like a walkie-talkie. So you just go back and forth and you leave voice memos for each other. So for my wait list people, I tell them, hey, go ahead and sign up now before the course gets released to the public. And I'm going to give you Voxer support until the course starts. So you're getting this special bonus before everybody else. So let's say the course starts the first week of October, but you sign them up that second week in September, they get like 2 or 3 weeks of full access to you. So my mastermind members love this because they are joining a mastermind and they are bursting with ideas, and having access to me like allows them to sift and sort through those before the program starts. So that's an easy bonus where I don't have to create anything except for show up on Voxer, and it's fun for me. I love doing that. So that's one of the bonuses I love. And the other bonus I love, granted, my program is 6 months long. I like to give 1 month free if they pay in full.
Mm-hmm.
And people dig that. And actually, when too many people pay in full, I know it's like, I got to raise the price again. So those are a couple of my favorite like launch tools, especially if you have a smaller list that you can start to play with, Bomb, and then offering easy bonuses like Voxer.
Yes. Okay. So awesome information there, Sage. I'm just going to do a quick summary and maybe even simplify for some of the listeners that are just sort of starting off, and just correct me if I'm on the right stage here. So it's very easy to be like, well, hey, I got a small list, so I'm at a disadvantage. And look, there may be some disadvantages, but the advantage you have is that it's so much more personalized. Right? If you have a big ass list and you send out an email and you're like, hey, reply and let me know this, that's going to be a lot of work replying to all those emails, right? But if you've got a smaller list, you might only get a handful of replies. Great. You can make it more personalized to that person there. So I think that's a good tip. If you got a small list, hey, treat it like a small list. You're not a Russell Brunson or an Amy Porterfield yet, right? So, maybe some of the strategies that they use may not work yet. You may need to make it a bit more personal. So I love that. I also like a couple of things you mentioned there in terms of the simplification side of things, right? Hey, if you're sending out an email, doesn't have to be a book. Me anyway. I can read a paragraph and then I get bored. So if you send me a 2 or 3 paragraph email, I might not read it. But if you send me an email with one tip or one question, you know what? I might even reply to that. So I think that's important as well, and especially when you're starting off. Different story. Okay, you're a full-time marketer. Maybe you can spend an hour a day crafting that email and making it perfect, But if you're not at that stage yet, hey, quicker can often be better. And I love how you mentioned the funnel side of things as well. That's a common thing I see with a lot of course creators. And I think it's because there's so much marketing out there, right? You jump on your Facebook, every second person, hey, you need to have a funnel. You need to have a landing page. You need to have a website. And look, all those things are important. Of course they are, but they're just so time consuming, right? And not even always necessary. If you've got especially small list, good relationship, you could almost just sell with a PayPal link if you really wanted to. I'm not recommending that. I'm not saying you do it, but it doesn't have to be super fancy where you opt in here. And I guess to summarize that, I was speaking to a course creator the other day, and they were like, hey, I know I've got to start creating my list and sending emails, but I'm not doing it yet. And I was like, okay, cool. Hey, why not? They're like, oh, look, I want to come up with the perfect welcome sequence. Don't you need to have a month of welcome emails, already set up for these people to go in? And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm sure there's plenty of marketers out there that have the perfect, 30-day intro, whatever it may be. But when starting off, just build a list and send an email once a week. You can worry about that stuff once you're a bit better, or maybe have one email set up, 1 or 2 welcome
Yeah.
emails, maybe not a month, So I love that you brought that up. Then the next point was the don't wait side of things. I think that's so important, right? Because small list, you're starting off, you're like, okay, once I get to, 100 people or 1,000 people, then I'll do my launch. And hey, that may still be the strategy. But hey, make a few sales along the way, You may be like, all right, cool. I'm going to give myself a month to build my list. So I launch in November or whatever it is. But hey, in the meantime, let me make a few of these sales, Let me do a few of these things here, And I love the bonus you mentioned there, the both of them, the Voxer one I think is amazing because if it's too much work, it'll slow you down. If you're like, all right, because it just piles on, right? It's like, okay, cool. I need to build my list. I'm going to launch in November. So I'm going to spend a month building my list. But now I need to spend a month creating this freebie to give these people so they sign up early. So that's going to take me a month. So now I'm launching in December. Oh, hold on. I don't want to launch in December because that's Christmas time. So now I'm going to launch in, and it just adds up and up and up. Whereas with this here, it's like, great. I'm going to launch in October. I need some sort of bonus that isn't going to take me any time. Cool. Hey, you get Voxer support to me, which is cool there. Now I had one question. Oh, the paid in full as well. It's like, all right, cool. Paid in full. If you pay in full, you get an extra month there. I think that's an awesome strategy too. I just had one question in terms of the bomb because the signal sort of cut out a bit there. Let me make sure I've got this in order. That's for someone that replies. If someone's like, hey, I'm interested in this, you're essentially taking a video. And am I right in saying that video is personalized? It would be, hey, Sage, thanks for replying. Look, here's what it is. Here's a video of it. Here's the screen share. Here's my face. Here's the screen, yada, yada, yada. Is that how that works?
Yeah, I like making personalized videos for each person if you have the time. If you don't have the time, then you can make one where you just don't say their name, and that's okay. But like, in my personal opinion, I've always found things convert better the more you are able to personalize it. But it is like check in with yourself because a lot of my people in my community, they don't like, I tell them the big grand plan and I'm like, take the pieces that you feel like you can do and make it work for you. I'm not telling you have to use every strategy I put on the table. Like this is a big buffet. I don't want you to be overly stuffed here.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love that. Awesome. All right, cool. Now, Sage, I believe you're also known for your launch strategy for tailoring to the 4 different buyers types. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Jono. And it's so funny because one of the things you said, like re-triggered it for me was that your emails don't need to be a book. So let's talk about that because there are 4 buyer types and actually what I'm about to share with you can be used on your emails. It can be used on your sales pages. It can be used on your Facebook ads. When you understand these 4 buyer types, you know what kind of things they want to see from you within a launch sequence. So let's say just for purpose of this conversation that you're doing a live launch. So there's an open cart period and a closed cart period. And so I'm 8 years deep into my business. I started out as a copywriter. I do more launch coaching now than copywriting. It's rare I take private clients anymore. But when you said like the email doesn't need to be a book, when you're sending a video, the email doesn't need to be a book because the one thing you want them to do is watch the video, right? But sometimes you like the product announcement email, like the day of your cart open, that email should be longer. And the reason why, and so like, let me explain these 4 buyer types. I'm going to tell you them in the sense of what color they are. Okay. So the green buyer type, they're the slower decision makers. They're the ones who read your entire sales page, your entire long product announcement email, and they still write you and ask more questions. So they process slower. They need more information. There's certain things you can do to attract their attention on a sales page. One of the easiest things you can do at the top of a sales page for like the green, slower decision maker is to be very clear who the offer is for. So like this podcast, as an example, in the title, we're going to put people with an email list of less than 1,000. So for those slower decision makers, they want to be able to identify themselves. Why should I even listen to this, read this, or whatever? So you should always have that near the top of the email, top of the sales page for the slower decision makers. But no, they're going to read the whole thing, because people are always like, do I really need a long sales page? Mostly yes, and it's because of these decision makers. There's exceptions to every rule, but mostly yes. Now, the second buyer type is the fast decision maker. So they're the reds. Jono's a fast decision maker. I'm so great. And everybody, it's interesting. All these buyers have their own strengths and weaknesses as well. It's based on DISC. If anybody has heard of DISC, you can take this assessment. Stay with us right now, but maybe later Google this assessment if you want to. But you'll be able to identify who you are as we're talking as well. So for the reds, the thing that you want on the top of the sales page is a button that takes them to the pricing section. Yeah. They are never going to read your entire sales page.
That's me. Me too. I just scroll. Where's the price? Where's the price? Where's the price? I don't care about your buy. I don't care about what's in the course. Where's the price?
The only thing that will make a red click that button faster, because they've already made a decision. They are just so quick. They have a sense for things. They're very intuitive. It's awesome. The only thing that will make them hit that pricing, the button that takes them to the pricing section faster, is if you have a testimonial just below that of someone they recognize. They're very much driven by we talked about Amy Porterfield. Let's say I had a testimonial of her right below that buy button. That's the only thing that will make them click even faster, because they're like, oh, I know who Amy is. I'm totally in for this. Yeah. So those are your fast decision makers. And I love them because they're the ones who buy on the webinar. If they honestly don't even want to attend your webinar, they just want to know how to get to the sales page. Yeah. So when you send that product announcement email, Jonah's like, you've pegged me. She knows things about me. So when you send the product announcement email, even though it's a long email, put the link for the sales page near the top of the email. Do not wait to put that link, because the faster decision makers, they get mad. You made them scroll.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, so good. Okay, so those are the first two. We have the greens and the reds. Next, I'm going to tell you about the blues. They are the deep connection decision makers. They are the ones who wait till they feel like they really connect with your story. Whether you tell that story in an email, on the sales page, maybe they read a Facebook or an Instagram post where they just really feel like a heart-to-heart connection about who you are. So this is where overshares are actually a good thing for a brand, because those deeper connection decision makers are like, oh, I really felt what Sage shared with me about her personal life, and how learning to run an online business didn't just change her life, it changed her kid's life too, those kind of stories. They also, the blues, the deep connection decision makers, they love beautifully branded imagery because they tend to be highly creative people. Okay. So when you get on a sales page, having those branded photos really help to build trust and they feel a sense of loyalty to you. It's just psychologically what goes on in their brain. But also even in your emails, there's a couple of things to talk about here, but with your emails, I actually don't put a lot of branded photos in my email, maybe once when I first announced the product. And the blues like that. So that's good for them. A lot of my imagery though is more selfie type stuff. I try not to go overly branded in email because I want it to feel personal. And then the other, but as I'm thinking about the imagery, now I'm thinking about the fourth decision maker, which is the fun-loving decision maker. So these are the yellows, and I love my yellows. They are the reason why you send 3 cart close emails on the last day. They wait. Sometimes they wait until the cart is closed and they write in and be like, can I get in? Can I please get in? And we love those types of fun-loving decision makers, because when you guys show up during the course, they're the party people. They always come late, but you're so happy when they get there. So, and the other thing you can do to attract fun-loving decision makers on the sales page, having like funny puns, or sometimes I put music lyrics in the copy. They want to see funny things, and that will keep them engaged long enough to buy. But in the emails, the bonbon videos, yellows, those like fun-loving decision makers, they really like the bonbon because it's a GIF of you. By the way, bonbon creates a GIF. It's so cool.
That does sound cool. Yeah, I've seen a few of those, and I'm like, oh, how are these people doing it? Maybe they use bonbon.
Yeah, and like on the cart close email, because I know the yellows are like opening them. I'll put like a GIF of me closing a door because it's clever in that way. So just little things like that. I have actually, I have a picture on my website, and I'm doing this. I have a pin. It's a pink pin, and I've got it scrunched under my nose. And if anybody comments on that picture, I already know what kind of decision maker they are. Because I'm like, oh, you're a fun-loving decision maker. You want to party with me. Let's get this started.
Yes, love it. Okay, awesome info there. So let me do a summary there. So I guess the overarching summary of that is people are different, right? There's not just one sales page that works the best, you know, and you can't just say, hey, people want long sales pages or people want short sales pages. Like, people are different, right? And we can broadly categorize them in these 4 categories here. And then if we can do a little bit of everything in the emails and the sales page, hey, we're speaking to all people, you know? So let's say, and I'll even give a quick summary of each one of these. So the green were the long decision makers. They want to read every email. They want to read everything on the sales page. And out of curiosity, if you're a green, comment below if you're on Facebook and write green.
Yeah, please.
Curious to see. What we can do there is give the details. Even if you're not a green person, so let's say myself, I'm definitely not a green person, right? But if I am. Yeah, there you go, exactly. So if I wanted to sell to Sage and I'm just like, hey, click this button and buy, she's not going to freaking buy it, you know? So even if I'm not a green person, okay, I got to make sure that I put more detail in there so that I can make a few more sales to some of the greenies, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Then the red. So that's me, right? I have I'm not reading 90% of what's on your email or your sales page, right? Just show me the price and what I get, and I'll make a bit of a decision from there. So what's important with someone like me is still give me the option to do it, right? So if you're writing an email, you might be like, hey guys, I'm so excited, just launched this new program, click here to check it out. This is what's in the program, blah, blah. So like someone like me, as soon as I see the click here to check it out, great. I can click there and just go straight into it. I don't need to read the rest of it there. But the greenies, okay, they might not click it straight away. You got to sell them to click more, right? They'll read down there. And to get someone like me to action faster, show me a testimonial with someone I know. And I'll even give some personal insight here. The 2 things that'll get me is if it's someone I respect, I'm in, you know. If it's Amy Porterfield, I taught Amy Porterfield how to do webinars. Shut up and take my money, all right? Or if it's someone I know that I think I'm better than, you know. Hey, here's your local competitor in Sydney. He did this course. Oh shit! If Jim did this course, I can't let Jim be better than me. You know, I better do it as well, so I'm better than Jim. So that's my 2 things there. If it's someone I look up to, or if it's someone that I think I'm better than, you know, then I want to do it there as well. Not better than in that particular area. If I think I'm more in that area. Then we've got the blue, which is more the deep connection, and I've got a little bit of that myself. You can probably tell by my shirt, you know, even though I say, hey, I'll buy straight away, I need to know something about you and more you than the course, you know, like, okay, cool. Here's Sage's journey. You know what? That's a pretty cool journey. I think I can learn something from her. I'm going to do it. More about her than what's in the course, you know? So that may be some just from an outside in, you know, I don't know the psychology behind this. I'm just looking at myself as a buyer. That's the way, you know, you'd get me there with that side of things. And once again, right, may not serve everyone there, but have the option, you know. I'm guessing maybe if it's on your landing page, you know, there's maybe a 5-minute video of you that says my story or something like that. I'll click that. Even though I'm a red, you know what? I'll check out your story. I'll click that there. Like that. And the green would obviously will do it. They're going to watch everything anyway as well, right? Yeah. And the yellow, yes, the fun loving. Now, this is an interesting one. Because I feel this one goes one of two ways, right? I like to have fun as well. So that would suck me in, even the attempt. Even if I don't find it funny, but I see someone's trying to be funny.
Trying.
At least they're trying, at least they're putting some effort in. But I do, I can sort of imagine there's people the other way as well, where if you do too much of that, there's going to be people that are like, well, this person's just a joke, I don't want to work with them. So I'm guessing we'd be careful there, hey, let's throw a few things in here, but let's not, make our whole page a joke. Is that, even though I would like a whole page as a joke, I'm just one type of person, it may turn other people off. Is that how oh, sorry, you go.
Oh yeah, I was going to say the thing to remember is definitely only sprinkle in the jokes, the gifts, the things that are fun loving, because you're right. Like there's a line you can cross, and I see a lot of copywriters when they're first getting started, they try to be too clever all the time. And there are times to be clever, and there are times to just outright say what people want. And usually the cleverness is much better when it's sprinkled in, and not always generally at the top of the page, unless it's tied to the imagery at the top of the page. So that's like a little nuance that I love that you picked up on, Jonah. And the other thing, well, two things. One, I would love to hear from everybody in the comments. Like you said, are you a red, a green, a blue, or a yellow? I'd be so interested to see like what your community is comprised of. And then like, also, I feel like once you know your color, it doesn't just apply to launches, like it's understanding people in your everyday life, like that reds are fast decision makers and greens are slower. So if you have a green on your team, like don't make them make a decision. Like they need to write down a list and pro and con it before they can tell you an answer. So anyways, I love that you can apply it to all areas of your life.
100%. And even if we go deeper, even on maybe a sales call, maybe you're selling via, Zoom or on the phone or something, you can look at this person, and because that's personal as well. If someone's trying to sell me something and they try and sell me like a green, I tune off and I'm not even going to buy, But on the flip side, if you got someone that's a green and you just tell them the price and you yada yada through the info, they're not going to buy, So, have a look at that person and treat them there, I think is good. One more question here, Sage, and then I want to move on to some sort of finishing up questions. I'll ask this question in a few different ways and answer it what you think is best. So in your opinion, should you sort of be even and tailor to all of these people? Or if your audience is more than one type, do you maybe favor that one a little bit? Or if you're a type of person and you want those type of people in your program, do you favor it there a bit? I know it's not really a question. It's more just asking for your opinion on that. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, this is actually a really good question to ask yourself. What kind of people do I want in my audience? I am of the opinion, it depends, right? Like if you're running a program for high-powered executive coaches, you're going to have a lot of reds, and that's who you're going to attract. And they really don't have patience to be around a lot of greens. Greens are their integrators in the sense that they work on their team and they help them implement. So it's good to invite their green to a training. But generally speaking, like you need to know who you're selling to. I personally, like within my mastermind community, I love having all four colors because I feel like within my community, they all bring their unique attributes to it. We actually all have all four colors in us anyways. It's just some is more predominant than the others. So like, I like a well-rounded community, but I'm not teaching high-powered executives. I'm teaching people who have smaller lists who are looking to scale this up. So I want all four types. So if you just kind of analyze who are the types of people that you want to attract. If you want really people strong in leadership, then you'll attract more reds, and you have to be fast moving with them and be able to like really keep their attention. So it's fun once you start to identify that. It's rare that you don't want to have all four colors. And another like interesting side note, there's fewer reds in the world. Like not as many people are born leaders. And they're super visionary. They're fun to be around, but like that skill, you can hone it over time, but not innately born with it usually.
Yes, no, I agree. Because They're the people I
So
like
nice
to.
work, Jono.
Oh, thank
You're
you.
rare in the world.
Well, the reason why I like those people, they're usually the ones that buy it straight away, right? So I'm like, I'll do whatever possible to.
Oh, they're the best.
Yeah, yeah. If you're trying to sell something, and
And they
that's
don't
like,
care about price.
yeah,
If they know, yeah.
no, sorry, you go. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Sorry. I
finished.
think there's a slight delay in the signal there, but yeah, and I guess
Totally.
the negative side to me is I've bought things before without doing my homework well enough, where I should have been more than agreeing, and I've
Great starters, horrible finishers.
yeah,
That's Reds to a T.
yes,
That's why you need greens around you to implement in your team.
yes, no, agree, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, Sage, there's a few questions I always like to finish off with. Now, since this is a podcast for online course creators, I always ask, what platform do you host your courses on? And even if you don't have a Kajabi or a New Zenler, how do you deliver that information to your students or your customers?
Oh, good question. I'm actually moving either to Thinkific or Memberville. I'll probably do Thinkific. At this point, I was on LearnDash and another time, I don't remember the other program I was on, but I've been on a few different ones. But Thinkific it allows you to do certain things in the back end that I can't do with anybody else. So that's who I'm looking at right now.
Yes, no, very popular. In terms of courses, they're, I think, the most popular, maybe not so much for the marketing side of things. A lot of people will use Kajabi, ClickFunnels, that, but I think for an actual course hosting, yeah, I think Thinkific is up there with the top. Now, Sage, you're obviously a mentor for plenty of people out there in the world. I've got a question for you around mentors, and you can answer this in a few different ways as well. The question is essentially, who are your mentors? Now, if you can answer it a few different ways, whether it's people that you've paid money to directly to do their course or be in their mastermind, or just people that you follow on social media. You haven't given them any money, but you're like, hey, I like the content this person produces. And then also books as well. Any particular books that you recommend my listeners should read or that you've read and you've changed your life. What can you tell us there?
Such a great question. So mentors. My mom has been an entrepreneur since the 70s. So she's modeled for me, what it means to create a business. And she's in her 70s now, actually. And so I still turn to her. I know that's not something everybody can go check out. I'm just blessed in that way. But I really appreciate having a family member to go to. The best mentorship for me ever, hands down, and I know I'm saying this and I have one, is being in a mastermind. So as much as I love leading my group, I consider myself a leader among leaders, meaning I become the student of my community too. Like I see my members, there's no pedestal between us, and I learn just as much from them as they do me. So I aged last year pre-COVID, and my speaking coach was Jeannie Spiro, and she flew out from Rhode Island to Niagara Falls to our live event. And I was just feeling so blessed to have her in my corner. I had never sold from a stage. I had always sold online. So that was a really huge pivotal moment in my business. And I will never forget her for that. The only other mentor I want to mention is Rachel Rogers from We Should All Be Millionaires. I'm a part of her club. I'm actually at an Airbnb because I attended her retreat this week. Ooh. And her community is so powerful. Again, it's yes, there is someone leading, but more so the people who are here with me, the two other business owners, that is the really special thing for me, is connecting with people who are here, and we're going through the retreat stuff together. We're doing peer mastermind together. And that's the one thing I want to say though, is you don't have to pay to be in a mastermind. That may cost me money to say, but I don't care. When I was getting started, gathering other copywriters and being what are you doing in your business? What am I doing? That has been the thing. almost don't want people to look to one mentor. I would say rather seek out a community of people who are maybe a little bit ahead of you or right where you're at, and look to them for support, because leaders are great, but they can only give you so much because they're one person, versus finding community within those leaders groups. It's amazing. That's why I'm so happy you're doing what you're doing, Jono, because I know the power of having a community around you.
Yes, no, agree. I'm glad that you mentioned Rachel Rodgers. She always gets mentioned, every third or fourth guest is like, hey, you got to follow Rachel Rodgers. I love how you've mentioned masterminds. I'm a huge fan myself of both paid and free ones. I like the good thing about paid ones is there's a bit more accountability there. I've been a member of a few free ones, and I'll tell a few stories. Some have worked well, some have worked bad. There's one that I was for about a year, and it was a face-to-face one. Just 4 of my friends who also ran business. We just said, hey, every Wednesday morning, 7:00, we're going to meet at this coffee shop and just mastermind. That went for about a year, and that was awesome. And I learned so much from that. But I have tried a couple other ones as well, and there was, tried to do an online one with, 5 of my friends all over the world. We're like, yeah, let's do this every week. Then it became every second week. Then it became every month. And then we never did it again. We did like 2 or 3 of them, So yeah, there's the balance of them both. Book Sage, did you tell us a book there? Or are you much of I know you read, books that may not be business related. Do you have any sort of business books that you recommend?
Yeah, so many. I will say one more thing about the peer mastermind. If you decide to do it, one person has to take the lead. Otherwise, it will fall apart. Like, I guarantee you. So that was just a quick hot tip. But books, oh my gosh. I really want to speak to the women in your community for a minute and say the most important book that I'm reading right now is Patriarchy Stress Disorder by Dr. Valerie Ryan. It's for women in particular, but also men who support women and love women. You can pick this book up too. It really breaks down why women show up the way they do and why we tend to have an issue selling ourselves, showing up, being visible online, why we think, oh, I just had my first 20K month, that'll never happen again. Like that mind trash, this book will clear that out for you and make you realize that it's in your lineage. Like, this is deeply ingrained, and there are ways. She basically, oh my gosh, I'll say my favorite line and then I'll mention a couple other books. My favorite line from her is, they used to burn us at the stake. Now they just hand us the torches. It goes deep. So good. But
Valerie Ryan?
Valerie Ryan, yeah. And then business-wise, I mean, that is related to your business, even if you think it's not. That's why I mentioned it. Business books that I've read that I love recently, I've been reading all fiction. I just got so immersed in business. I need a brain break. Like, I haven't read any business books recently. You know what I liked for people who have a bigger audience is Hug Your Haters.
Okay.
And that's actually good for anybody who's worried about being criticized online.
Awesome. Well, I've just added both of those to my Amazon shop list now. Hug Your Haters, is it? Awesome. All right, cool. Well, hey, Sage, I'm sure people listening to this, watching this, they're like, okay, this woman is amazing. I want to, hear more about what she does. She's mentioned her mastermind. I know you've got a free giveaway as well for copywriters. Well, if someone wants to, delve deeper into you, what do? Follow you on Instagram, join up for your mastermind, opt in for your freebie. What can you tell us there?
Yeah, I would say grab my 3x email open rates gift for your community. So 3xemailopenrates.com. It's 3 emails that you can copy, paste, and send to your community. If you have ghosted your list, this is really for you, and we've all done it. I myself, as a copywriter, will confess, like, I have not always been consistent with my list, but this is a great way to show up back into their inbox, and do not say, I'm sorry, I haven't emailed you as the first line. Please don't. Like, just skip that line, go straight to these templates. Even if you haven't ghosted your list, but you have had a list for a while and you haven't scrubbed it in the last 6 months, this is the time to clean up your people who are not engaging. Because if you're on a paid email platform, you're paying for people who are not opening your emails. I just got rid of 1,443 subscribers. Bye-bye, because they were not opening my stuff. So it just feels good. Like, you feel like you're talking to the people who want to hear from you. So definitely grab the 3xemailopenrates.com, start there. If you're looking for a mastermind, my doors are not open until January, but you can totally start a conversation with me on the DM and Instagram. I'm at Sage Polaris, and I'd be happy to just chop it up with you and talk.
Awesome. Cool. And if you're watching live on Facebook, comment Sage down below, and we'll get you over the email open rates, the email freebies straight away. And we'll also put a link to your Instagram down there as well, Sage, so people can follow you on Instagram. And I believe that's the link in your bio anyway. So if you follow Sage on Instagram, you'll also get the freebie too. Sage, that's all I wanted to cover for today. Is there anything I should have asked you but didn't, or is there anything you want to finish us off with?
You know, I should have mentioned, for the people who are looking for a mastermind, I specifically work with course creators and service providers. I know the greens out there are like, well, you mentioned a mastermind, but who is it for? That's who it's for. And the reason I do that is because they end up hiring each other, and I love having, like, bridging those two worlds together. And other than that, I would just say, like, if you're doing a launch or getting ready to launch something, I've worked on over 350 projects, and, like, make it easier on yourself. Look into getting templates for your launch. Put your brand language, make it your own for sure, but have that as a way to make your life easier, because you don't have to work as hard as you might be.
Yes, agree 100%. Awesome. Well, Sage, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure, Jono. It was so great to chat with you today.